Hello everyone. For this presentation, our group researched albinism. Albinism is a genetic condition that is present at birth. It is characterized by vision problems and a lack of pigmentation in the skin, hair, and eyes. What causes this is a gene mutation that stops or lessens the production of an enzyme that creates melanin, which is also known as pigment. People of any gender and race can be born with albinism, but it is more common in some countries than others. For example, the rates of albinism in North America and Europe are 1 in 20,000, while the rates in Africa range from 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 15,000. Certain Tanzanian populations have rates as high as 1 in 1,000. There are many different types of albinism, which are differentiated by the amount of melanin present, the areas of the body affected, and which genetic mutations cause them. The most common type of albinism is oculocutaneous albinism, or OCA, which involves hair, skin, and eyes. There are 4 types of OCA: OCA 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are 2 types of OCA1. In 1A, there is no melanin synthesis in any tissue and vision problems are present. It is caused by a null mutation of the TYR gene, located on the chromosome 11 at position 14.3. This mutation results in inactive or incomplete tyrosinase enzyme, which helps create melanin. 1B has some melanin present in hair, skin, and eyes. This subtype also gives vision problems and is also caused by TYR gene mutations. However, this mutation results in partially active tyrosinase enzyme. People born with this type of albinism can have hair ranging from light blonde to light brown, and the skin can develop a slight tan. OCA2 is characterized by vision problems and a small amount of pigmentation. It is caused by mutations in the P gene located on the long arm of chromosome 15. This gene will normally help create a protein called P protein, which is found on melanocytes, which help the creation of melanin, and P protein is thought to help with the transportation of melanin inside them. The next type is OCA3. Those with OCA3 have vision problems but have substantial pigment. OCA3 is caused by mutations in the TYRP1 gene located on chromosome 9 at position 23. This mutation leads to a lack of production of tyrosinase-related protein 1, which without the enzyme rapidly deteriorates. People with OCA4 have vision problems and some pigment present. It is phonetically similar to OCA2, but it is instead caused by mutation in SLC45A2, which is found on chromosome 5 at position 13.2. This gene would normally create a protein that assists in the transportation of melanin within melanocytes. X-linked ocular albinism is a type of albinism that affects pigmentation in the eyes, with very little effect on the skin and hair. It is caused by mutations on the GPR143, which is located on the X chromosome at position 22.3. This gene normally creates a protein that affects pigmentation in the eyes. This type of albinism is much more common in males. All types of albinism involve problems with vision. Albinism affects 3 areas of the eye: the iris, the retina, and the optic nerve. Less pigment in the iris means it can't block out light, causing light sensitivity. In the retina, the fovea is lacking in pigment, leading to problems with sharpness of vision. Albinism also causes extra crossed optic nerve fibers, which cause difficulty with depth perception. All types of albinism are autosomal recessive. Both parents have to have a copy of the disease-causing mutation for the offspring to have a chance to express it. The parents of the affected offspring are either carriers or express the mutation themselves. A DNA sample can be tested to see if someone carries the mutation related to albinism. Deletion and sequence analysis are the most common types of detection. It is not clear who discovered albinism, as the condition seems to have been observed as long as medical records have been around. However, albinism was one of the earliest genetic conditions to be studied because of its obvious phenotype. In 1903, William Curtis Fabry and later William E. Castle concluded that albinism was a recessive genetic trait. In 1908, Sir Garrod suggested that albinism and melanin formation were related to tyrosinase, but it wasn't until the 1940s that this was confirmed. It was discovered that hair follicles from those with albinism contained melanocytes but had no tyrosinase activity. In 1987, the tyrosinase gene was isolated, and 2 years later the first mutation associated with OCA was discovered. More recently, different types of albinism have been discovered based on melanin, tyrosinase activity, and specific gene mutations. Current research follows this trend and involves isolating different genetic mutations and studying melanin and tyrosinase activity for each type. More types and better definitions of current types can be expected in the future. People with albinism must be extra careful with sun protection because they have such a fair complexion, and vision problems must also be a consideration. Sunglasses and eyeglasses may need to be worn to correct vision impairments. There is also a social component to living with albinism. People with albinism are often treated differently or feel isolated because of the way they look. In some African countries, namely Tanzania, the body parts of people with albinism are believed to bring good luck, prosperity, and power if brewed into a potion by a witch doctor. Children are especially targeted because of their inability to defend against their attackers, and as such, many Aboriginal children in these areas become unwilling amputees. In some East African tribes, those with albinism are thought to be cursed or to be ghosts or sorcerers. Babies born with albinism are believed to bring misfortune and bad luck, or are seen as proof of the mother's infidelity. As a result, there are high rates of infanticide and abandonment of babies born with albinism in these areas. Other myths in other African areas include the belief that sacrificing a person with albinism will bring divine favor to the community, the belief that pulling out the hair of a person with albinism will bring good luck, and the belief that sleeping with a woman or girl with albinism cures HIV/AIDS, leading to the rape of these women and girls. The United Nations is working to stop the abduction, violence, and trafficking of albino body parts, and a non-profit called Under the Same Sun is helping to spread the word about the situation in Africa. The National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation is helping to educate about albinism to fight against the social stigma of those living with it. And there you have it. Although albinism was one of the first genetic conditions to be studied, it has proven to be much more complicated than previously thought, with many genes and processes involved. Albinism is also complicated to live with. It affects people in many different ways, with physical, social, and cultural considerations.